So this video is made up of clips of how I converted this Ridgehauler, enclosing the cab and moving the front wheels further forwards underneath the cab. It's been probably about a year since I started this and it's just sat doing nothing. So I thought I'd show you what I've done and hope you enjoy. So I decided to modify a Cargo 8 Ridgehauler. And this is the journey of what I did. So I had the idea of covering up the cab, and what I was going to do was with plastic card build a little unit that fits on the front here to cover it, to make it covered, and then maybe put in like a turret on the top for the gun platform. But then when I was looking for bits, I found this, which was like a hatchway. I don't know what it's from, and cutting and looking at it and cutting it down, this part turns into an absolutely perfect thing to go on there. So that's what I've decided. And then looking at different ways of meshing across the front of the cab, and I think this aluminium mesh is probably best. I've got some steel weave as well, but I think this probably gives a better effect to be able to see through. So with this part now glued in place and sanded down, I mean, it's just made for it. So I'm just going to cover the edge there, and then make a top from the plastic card, I think, and then put the grill into the front of the windows across there. So this is the 90% finished cab all put together. So grated across all of the windows just so no one could throw any rocks through. With this top, which I've left off, I'm just going to spray the inside black just to darken it out. So I've made the rest of the roof section with some bits of plastic, and followed a bit of plastic here just to follow across this roof line. Glued a few bits on the side, and this big piece on the side is actually cut out from underneath here, because what I've decided is I wanted to extend the wheelbase somewhat. So this is what I've done here. So I began by gluing together all of these axle parts, and then as I made up the rest of the chassis, I glued in two of these extensions. Now these extension pieces are for if you're making a 6-wheel model. So as I was making up the rest of the chassis, I glued them into there. I then had to measure against the cab as to where to cut, and it turned out, actually, the way I did it was literally a cut just here, just cutting off that end tab, which with a little bit of messing around then glued very solidly into there. So I put a couple of tiny bits of cut sprue in just to fill the gap so that when it glued it's incredibly strong. And I'll show you what it looks like now. So with the cab in place, this is why I had to cut off that bottom piece, which I used just here. Fits in really well, and it creates about half a wheel's distance half a wheel's extension. It's just I don't know. I think it looks good. So as you can see here, it gives about half a wheel's extra length on the chassis, which just brings together the cab and the trailer together, which I think looks better than the original pattern, like this with the equal set wheels. Like I say, I just think that it brings the cab onto it. I quite like the look of the overhanging front cab, but it looked like a bit of an add-on, whereas this looks, I think, a bit more like it should have been made like that. And I've fashioned myself a spare wheel, which will go somewhere, maybe there, maybe on the roof of the container. So the container that's on here obviously is going to come off, but it's going to be specific probably to this, and have a bit of cargo straps on the top. Not entirely sure how to do it all. I don't really want to glue too much to the sides of here, but that could look good as well. Not quite decided. So I think I've pretty much decided what I'm going to do. Similar to this, just need to bring it together, paint it all up. I'm going to use a different container, and hopefully I'll show you in another video how I paint it all up. It's going to be pretty simple, probably a desert tan colour scheme. Okay, stay tuned and I'll be back as soon as I've done it. So I've started painting. What I did was I coated everything in black to begin with, and then sprayed what I needed in Xandri dust, just using spray cans. There's a bit of overspray of the Xandri dust, obviously, onto some of the black parts. So I've just started going over, just blacking some of the parts in, like here, and the grills on there. But generally it was a pretty neat job. There's a couple of Xandri dust bits I need to go over, but it's a really good base. So next bit I'm doing is just painting the inside of these wheels with the Xandri dust, just to tie the colour scheme together. So not glued the wheels on yet, just placed them in to see how they look, and that's looking pretty good. So now I'm going to dry brush some lead belcher onto all of the metallic parts, and see where I go from there. That's pretty much the whole thing dry brushed very lightly in lead belcher. Obviously the black that was already dusty has come up nice, and then it's just added a first layer of wear and tear onto the Xandri dust parts, particularly like these ladder steps, ladder rungs. They look well worn. Also popped a little bit into each of the wheels. So that's it for now. Hopefully I'll get this done, completed. When I do, it'll turn up on a terrain showcase of some sort. Thanks.